Good morning, everybody. Today is very exciting because the I-Pace has been released. Oh wow, I've been waiting to get some proper concrete details on this much anticipated fully electric SUV for ages. And now lunch is going to be on the table in a second, so time for an intro. Come then, monkey, let's go outside. We're gonna go outside in the snow and try and actually have a proper snowman. I think hopefully the snow will be a bit stickier today. So, one of the things I've been trying recently, in the last 3 videos, is I've been trying to find a way to record decent sound when outside in windy conditions using a GoPro as your camera. Problem is, well, firstly, the game was set too high, so the sound was all totally not good. The next problem was I used a mic that works with my phone, but it's not a very good mic, so it's quite a sort of dull sound. Eesh. So today, we're going to try and set the level appropriately on this.
Come over my footprints then, go that way, then that way.
Wow, Jasper, look at all this snow. I don't have my gloves. This is never going to work. Hang on. Right from the word go, Elon Musk has understood that he can't create the only car company in the world. Other car manufacturers have got to join the EV revolution, which so far they have been very hesitant to do. And that's why I'm so excited by this Jaguar I-Pace. I watched the Jaguar live unveiling program and it seemed quite evident to me that they are very keen on this car and they're keen to push it and they want it to be as good as it can be because they're expecting that segment, the premium long-range EV segment, to do quite well. And I think it probably will. Although Jaguar I-Pace isn't a direct competitor to Model X because it is a bit smaller and on the whole a little bit cheaper, there are some very significant similarities of course, and throughout the launch event they were making comparisons, whether it was 0 to 60 and back to 0 again. Or just in terms of price or range even. So let's have a quick look at this I-Pace and see what kind of specs we have or haven't got. Firstly, it comes with a 90 kilowatt hour battery, which according to the WLTP driving cycle is good for 298 miles of range. I'm going to add a big old dollop of salt onto that because I think the EPA range is about 240, and I find the EPA range tends to be achievable with care, as opposed to say the NEDC range, which is totally unachievable unless you happen to be driving 200-300 miles down a gradual slope. That's the only way you would ever, it would have to be quite a steep slope actually, or there'd be no chance. But still, 240 miles is a perfectly decent range, and it'll do 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds, which means it's pretty rapid. And on top of that, as if all that wasn't good enough, you can seat 5 people, you've got a front and a fruit. I was going to call it a frunk, but they have decided they're calling theirs a fruit. It's a mistake. Fruits sound fruity, but that's what they want to call it.
Are we calling it a fruit or a frunk?
I think we're British, so we should call it a fruit.
Fruit.
A fruit, yes.
The Ians say fruit.
Fruit.
Therefore, it is fruit.
And also, it's clearly been designed from the ground up. I mean, the designer sat in the chair and was explaining how it was so freeing.
You have much more freedom
to be able to design the vehicle without the same kind of powertrain constraints that you would normally have. You loving the snow, monkey boy? I think it looks beautiful. I think Jaguar have done a very good job there. I quite like that sort of air intake, the way the air comes in and then goes over the windscreen. So although it's got the big front fascia that you normally get with a Jag, it's also pretty aerodynamic. Coefficient of drag 0.29, which is good for a 4x4, very good actually. It's extremely exciting to see a company like Jaguar getting behind EVs in a sensible way And so far, they're the first to do it, the first to follow in Tesla's footsteps. I don't think there's any chance that Jaguar would have done it if it wasn't for Tesla blazing the trail ahead of them. But that said, they're not late to the party yet. I tell you what you lose if you were to buy an I-Pace. It's £63,000, so we're talking kind of Model S starter prices really. Possibly with a bit more cash available, Model X 75D. But here's the thing, if you buy a Tesla, you get the Tesla approach to interiors and build quality. And from a quality point of view, in a lot of ways, Teslas are fine, but their interiors are not as luxurious. Jaguars have got that refinement that you get from having made cars for decades and decades and decades, and Tesla just hasn't got that yet, in my opinion. But what Tesla does have is a very large network of proper 120 kilowatt DC fast chargers. The I-Pace, it'll take a 100 kilowatt charge, but you have to find a 100 kilowatt CCS charger to actually be able to take advantage of that, and I've never seen one, ever, in the whole of the UK. I'm sure I will at some point, but so far, Plus, most of the motorway service stations in this country at least have got 2, sometimes 3 CHAdeMOs and usually 1 CCS, maybe if you're lucky 2, usually 1. So what that means is if you have an I-Pace, you're going to struggle with the longer journeys, especially go to Europe. It's going to be a pain. You're going to need cards, apps, planning, things that you're going to have to think about in a way that you wouldn't have to think about with a petrol or diesel. Contrast that with a Tesla. I drove to Italy in the summer. We just got in the car. I did no planning whatsoever. I literally got in the car and went next red dot, bonk. That's it. Next one in the right direction, bonk. I actually didn't look at the route we were going to take before I set off on the journey. And that's the kind of thing that you need to be able to do with an electric vehicle. So I'm hoping that the charging infrastructure is not going to hold Jaguar back. They seem to be willing to try and invest to some degree in chargers. We'll see what the fruits of that are or aren't over time. But nonetheless, I think it's a watershed moment that Jaguar have produced this vehicle now. Right. As it looks like we're not going to be building a snowman again, I'm going to go get a cup of tea in a minute, a cup of coffee, and warm up. Just was playing with magic sand. Sophie's working in the corner. I'm going for my run. So cold in here. I know a great way to not be cold. Physical exercise. Not exactly 2 kilometers, but I'm not cold anymore. Brilliant. This is not good. The audio does not seem to have worked. I cannot get it right. Part of the problem, I think, was because I was all wearing big thick jackets and it was basically just muffling the lav mic, I think. It's experience and trying things that lights the way forwards. Which is equally, I think, why Tesla deserve at least some credit for the next generation of other EV manufacturers that are going to be putting large range vehicles on the market over the coming year or two. Because I think honestly, if Tesla didn't exist, the vast majority of them wouldn't be making much or perhaps even any effort. So there we go. Hopefully Jaguar will embrace that full potential and really push forwards. They seem to be. They're talking about having an electric version, a fully electric version of most of their cars, or even all of their cars, I think, from sort of 2020, 21, something like that. So quite soon. It's very exciting, and I really hope that they do live up to this. And I don't think charging is going to be as much of an issue as it might on paper look at. So, okay, it's CCS, which isn't ideal, even in the UK, but there are still 10 times more CCS points now than there were CHAdeMO points a year after I had my Nissan Leaf. and I still quite happily drove up to Scotland and back, and that was a car with a realistic on the motorway range of about 50 miles. If it had had 150, 200 miles, I would have had absolutely no problem doing that length of the country journey. I'm going to say goodbye now because it's that time of the day. I hope you've enjoyed today's vlog post. If you have, remember to like it and share it and hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you tomorrow for the next instalment of my daily vlog. Bye. I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to try it in another environment, and that's basically the reason why I'm struggling to find a solution here, is because I have to keep trying new things until something works. And that's just basically the way it often goes actually with creating videos of any sort. You know,